Hey, I'm Ethan Gonzales, creator of the Executive Body Reset, the system we use to help high achieving women in leadership lose 20 to 30 pounds, get their energy back, and feel like themselves again without living in the gym, having a second job, or starving themselves every single day. Today, we're going to talk about why disciplined women get stuck even when they're doing, all the right things. And we're going to talk about the three main things that actually change the outcomes that they're getting day by day. We're going to talk about the executive body framework, which is the reset, reshape, and retain phases. We're going to talk about how stress changes female physiology and makes efforts stop working. And we're going to talk about how I actually use labs and hormones the right way without chasing random markers. Okay. So if you've been feeling, stuck, even though you've been consistent, this will give you a real diagnosis and the pathway that you need to follow to get to where you want to go. Overall, in today's podcast, we're having Roberto on as well. Roberto works with high performing men in similar positions, and they have, obviously very ambitious, very goal oriented. They have a lot of stress. They're experiencing very similar issues that you are as well. So I think this contrast between men and women is going to help a lot of people. Let's dive right in. Okay. So the first piece of the executive body reset is the reset phase. Okay. Inside this phase, what we need to focus on is building a strong foundation. Okay. The key mistake, and why a lot of you are probably feeling super stuck, is you guys are trying to do things that you don't need to start doing yet. What I mean by that is you're trying different fad diets, you're trying different exercise routines, maybe you're working in person with a trainer, maybe you're trying to, do different cleanses, whatever it may be, right? There's a lot of things out there. You're starting all these different solutions without having a proper foundation really laid out. And it's like trying to build a house on sand. I'm sure a lot of you have already constructed many houses before. You wouldn't build a house on sand. You just really wouldn't. It's just going to crumble right away. So, what you guys need to be focusing on is setting that foundation up. And this is exactly what we do in the reset phase. Inside the reset phase, what we need to do is take a look under the hood, look at your actual body and understand what's going on. So, we look at your symptoms, okay? With our clients, we typically look at what symptoms are you currently experiencing in terms of your hormonal side of things. So, estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, cortisol, thyroid. We'll look at other markers too to see if there's any insulin resistance going on. And also just look at the gut health too, right? A lot of people miss GI health. And it's honestly one of the biggest mistakes that people make because they try and just solve all these problems over here and they forget there's a whole nother avenue that can actually be causing all these hormonal imbalances to get worse. And I'll explain a little bit on that as well because some people may not get it, right? Your GI plays a very big important function into honestly your dopamine, your serotonin, also into how our body excretes hormones as well, right? So a very common thing that I find with women is they're estrogen dominant, right? Their progesterone is very low in comparison to their estrogen, and the ratio is completely off, which can cause symptoms like hot flashes, bloating, night sweats, waking up late at night, all these different issues that you guys hate feeling, right? And this can also be a byproduct of, again, your gut, which is where your hormones are supposed to be excreted through your body, but they're getting stuck in your small intestine for too long, and then they're being recirculated into your body, right? So those hormones are being re-upticked into your body. And honestly, a lot of the time, it's the bad parts of estrogen, the bad pathways that you don't want to see in your body, which promote things like breast cancer, which promote things like, honestly, just worsened health, just for simplicity, right? Let's just say you're going to feel worse if you have hormones that are supposed to be excreted, re-put back into your body. So, what we really want to focus on in this phase, okay, in the reset phase, do the assessments, understand what the symptoms are, and then we want to actually do testing to see further, okay? Symptoms are great, but we also want to know what the root cause is. So, a lot of the times, what we want to do, get lab work done, get a GI map, get a Dutch test done, get hard answers onto what is actually happening inside of your body. Okay. Final piece, really, in the reset phase is once we have those answers, we want to do supplementation and lifestyle changes to fix the root cause and the problem. So that's the first piece of the reset phase overall.
Ethan, I'm telling you, if I was a client of yours, I would feel so empowered knowing what's going
Mm,
on under the hood. Can you tell these women the experiences of current women after you've went
yeah.
through reset phase with them and what that's done, not just physically, but also for their mental health to really get clear on the problem?
Yeah, I think that's honestly one of the biggest aspects is the reset phase, like you're saying, doesn't just change what's going on physically, but also mentally, because you go from feeling stuck, dismissed by doctors, and just frustrated to having a clear plan, and you're actually starting to see things work again. Like you're going from nothing works at all, you want to give up, you feel like a failure, to you're seeing progress start to happen both on the scale and also in your health as well. I think that's a big aspect.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the solutions still you kind of see women, you know, banging on different doors on that are not really serving them to the best of their ability?
I honestly think one of the biggest ones, honestly, there's a lot, but
Mm,
I think the issue is a lot of the solutions that people are trying just don't work together. And what I mean by that is a lot of people will say, "Hey, I'm going to get a personal trainer," right?
mm,
So you get a personal trainer, charges you $150, $200 a session. You work
mm,
with them a couple times a week, and you start to maybe build some muscle, but you're not fixing the root cause,
mhm,
right? You're not actually fixing the hormonal, you're not fixing the foundation as we talked about. Or some people will say, okay, I'm going to go the functional medicine route. I'm going to go get panels done. I'm going to go to these consults. I'm going to get everything set up. But realistically, you just get a packet of paper and like a couple supplements to take. And like you just spent six to $10,000, right? And you didn't really get an actual plan. You didn't actually get any accountability in place.
mhm,
You maybe have an appointment every 3 months and you go there, a couple $100 for the consult, you get some panels done. They say you look great, but you still feel like shit, right? Like nothing's nothing's actually changing, right?
mhm.
Or some people say, "Hey, I've, done that. Let me get a nutritionist," right?
Yes.
So you get a nutritionist, maybe they give you a couple things with food, they tell you what foods to eat, maybe you get some food testing done, you have some accountability, but again, you're not fixing the problem, right? So we're
Mhm.
we're always jumping to solutions without looking at a synergistic solution that solves everything. And as a result, you don't really get the results you're going after. You're trying to solve one of the main things instead of all of them at the same time.
Couldn't agree more. This integration of all the components that play into your health. It's so often overlooked. It's listed out a whole bunch of different avenues that if they're not talking to one another, you're missing a big piece of the pie. Now, I'd love to pick your brain on
Yeah.
hormones and gut, right? Because it really is the root of everything that's going on. Now, I do want to make sure that we get to um, kind of the full understanding of the method. Do you want to jump to
Yeah.
reshape, or yeah,
Hmm.
shall we go
Yeah,
through?
sure.
Okay, yeah, tell me
Yeah,
about the
sure. So
reshape piece.
yeah, so the biggest thing is, right, so when we talk about the reset first, I'll go a little bit deeper into the reset here
Mm,
because we touched on a lot of the like assessments that we want to follow and what protocols we want to do with that. The other aspect too, what we want to do in the reshape for a lot of the women that I work with who honestly, you guys are traveling, multiple times out of the month, maybe less, maybe more, right? I have some women who travel like 200 days out of the year. You guys could also have very long commutes, right? As you guys know, a lot of the places out there right now, they're having you go back in person, right? So even if you're a VP, even if you're an SVP, they're like, hey, you got to go back into the office. We're doing layoffs. We're cutting all these people out. And you got to go back in person. And now you got to drive 2 hours every single day. Yeah, so a lot of you guys who are commuting a lot for travel right now or for work, you guys overall have a lot of time where you cannot be focusing on your health. And as a result of that, a lot of the women I work with are chronically under eating. Okay. So they're probably eating 800, 1100, 1200 calories a day, even though you guys may be doing, again, all the right things. You might be working out 3, 4 times a week, maybe getting your steps in, right? You may be eating good foods, but you're not properly fueling your metabolism. Okay. So during the reset phase, we focus on your hormones, we focus on your health, but we also focus on your metabolism too. And so what we're doing during that phase is making sure that you're actually getting enough support from a nutritional standpoint to fuel your body in every single way, right? So we want to actually incrementally increase your food during this time. What we notice is when we bring your food up, when we find the root cause, when we properly supplement to fix it, you actually reduce all your symptoms, you actually have more energy, and you're eating more food and weight is coming down more. So that's what we want to do primarily in the reset phase is solve those areas and honestly make sure you feel good faster so you can start seeing results easier during the reshape phase. Now, once we dive into the reshape phase, the biggest thing ultimately is making sure that we're continuing to lose more weight, continuing to build more muscle, but ultimately starting to implement some more habits around your identity and who you want to become. Because a lot of the women, as Roberto knows, working with men, a lot of the men and women nowadays don't have the right identity of the person that they need to be. Doesn't mean you aren't successful, right? Doesn't mean you aren't, very well off. But the problem is that your identity for where you've become in your title does not match where you are in your body. And so ultimately, if you're trying to, you know, just push harder in your career and you're not catching up in your body, there's a clear misalignment. And you're always going to have issues with your energy, issues with your authority, issues with your presence. And so we need to fix that misalignment in your life.
Nailed it, man. You really, I mean, in the reshape, and tell me a little bit more about kind of how people and women particularly, jump ahead in the process, maybe trying to go into the reshape and rather than kind of resetting properly first, getting the identity right.
Mm. So I think the biggest thing is that most people they try and, like you're saying, jump ahead or jump the gun, right? You guys are already very well, in your careers and you already are successful in almost every other area of life. And so you assume that your health can have the same level of success instantly. And so you're kind of in the mindset of, I want to get there as soon as possible, right? And it's kind of a discussion that we have to have with some clients where it's like, hey, you've had these issues for 10 plus years. 5 years, 3 years, whatever, right? Like you've had these problems for time. They're not going to resolve instantly. So if you've had chronic stress or fatigue, or your hormones have been imbalanced for years, or you've been taking birth control through menopause, which is a horrible thing to do, like all these different things that you shouldn't be doing, if you've been doing it for a while, we have to fix those problems because if you don't fix them, that's honestly why you're still here, right? Because you've never fixed it. So you're going to continue getting the same result you've been getting in your health if you keep trying to do the same things. That's why we have to do the reset phase first. That's why we have to fix those issues
Mhm.
so that you actually can see progress in the first place.
And the analogy of building on the correct foundation, right? Like that is what is most important and what makes the most sense to me about the methodology, right? Doing
Yeah.
it the right way to start, having patience and trust in the process. Um, how exciting is it also to be told and hearing that in order to stimulate your metabolism as well, like you need to start fueling adequately. Like that should be something
Hmm.
empowering as well under the supervision of someone that's done it for hundreds of women. Um, then
Yeah.
it makes perfect sense that the reshape kind of starts to take shape. Um,
Yeah.
and then finally, Ethan, you want to discuss and explain what the retain component, an element of the methodology, serves?
Yeah. So coming out of the reshape phase, what we're looking to do, of course, during that phase is honestly, again, build more lean muscle, right? Raise your metabolism higher, lower body fat, which also lowers your estrogen signaling so that you don't have as much estrogen dominance potentially, right? So we're fixing your body, we're reshaping it into the body that you want to have. Again, the identity of the person that you want to have, the energy, the presence, the longevity, all the things you've been trying to build for years. We get you into that body. And then the biggest piece that most people really mess up on is you guys can't keep it, right? Because all the strategies you've been doing, again, don't fix the root cause, or something quick, or something easy, something fast. You guys want the quick results. I get it. You guys are successful, but you guys have to learn that this is a lifestyle. This is a journey. This is not a sprint. It's a marathon. And so your health has to be treated the same way. We need to understand that the retain phase is all about making sure that your health is the priority going forward, right? I talk to women all the time. You know, typically we work with women for 6 months. Honestly, we've had clients for years at times, right? But the biggest thing is the people who are successful after 6 months are the ones who have the mindset this is the next 20 years, the next 30 years. They have visions on their 3, 5, 10-year health goals, not this is 6 months. I'm only doing 6 months and then
Mm.
I'm going to give up because those people never retain it. And so the final piece touching into retain is again focusing the identity, focusing on the mindset, focusing on the long-term habits that you need to have to really be able to maintain this with the career that you have going on. So again, whether you're traveling, right? Knowing what to do in situations, being more proactive than reactive, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people live their lives in a very reactive state where it's, oh, I got to take
Hmm.
the kids. Oh my gosh, I forgot to eat. Oh my gosh, what am I going to cook later? Okay, I don't have food. I'm going to get, pizza or whatever, right? Like it's very easy nowadays to live reactively and just live that tomorrow's going to be guaranteed and that tomorrow's going to be the answer, right? Today's problems are tomorrow's problems, and tomorrow's problems are the next day's problems. And you never actually solve anything, right?
Mm.
But we have to start taking action on these things around our health. And that's the piece that most people miss because, again, you guys prioritize a ton of things in your life. You guys say you don't have time. You're super busy. I get it. But there are people, frankly, who are more successful than you, who have more kids than you, who have more responsibility than you, who are in better shape than you. So ultimately, there's no excuse why you cannot do it as well. The only difference is their level of prioritization for their health and the value they have and they believe that they have in their health because they know that is the signal that allows them to produce at the highest level. Because if you have your health in check, you demand authority and respect from everyone around you. You're not the slob. You're not the one who, gets brain fog and forgets words or stumbles over, your presentations. You're the person who walks into a room, has the presence, has the leadership, has the authority, and overall knows what to do in those situations, isn't reacting to them, is knowing what to do, is producing, is being proactive. And just that's the type of person that you guys want to become. And the only way to get to that type of person that you want to become is by doing things differently than you are now. If you do things the same way, you're going to get the same results. So if you keep acting in a reactive state every single day, nothing will change. So when it comes down to your health, you have to start doing things differently. You have to start prioritizing it no matter how busy you are, because if you never prioritize it, you're never going to solve the problem. That's the biggest thing.
We can jump in so many directions off of that value bomb, my friend. Truthfully, right? Like identity work. We can go. I would love to hear some strategies around travel, um,
Mm, yeah.
holidays, deadlines, the dinners. These are some more tactical things that I would love to hear. Um, I want to get a few other things out, right? Like the identity and the long-term mindset. I think that
Yeah.
would be nice to unpack for a moment because I mean, if we can, if our job is to spread a strong mindset, that's the thing that's retained, right? Like getting a
Yeah.
workout program or a nutrition plan is one thing, right? But those kind of age out. But if you have the right
Hmm.
way and framework of thinking, now that's durable. Um, I'll let you go.
Yeah.
You want to go on the mindset,
Let's
or you
talk
want to go
about
with
that.
more tactical
Let's talk about the
travel?
mindset first, because
Yeah.
I think that's the piece that a lot of people are missing, and what a lot of people think, you know, coaching really is, right? Like a lot of people come to me and they may be like, okay, like what's the workout plan or nutrition plan that I'm going to be following? And it's kind of, the least important thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
People nowadays have so much access to information,
Hmm.
programs, protocols, well, whatever, right? It's not about that, because you can you can put something together. Yes, we need to put it together for your blood work. We need to put it together for your lifestyle. These things are all very important. But what I'm stating is, again, it comes back to your belief system and your identity and your mindset around what your health truly means, because it could be the perfect plan, perfect in every single way. It could fit in your lifestyle. But if you do not prioritize your health, or you do not see it as something long term, you won't follow it. It doesn't matter. Like
Hmm.
I've literally seen it happen so many times, right? And so it's important. This is why we stress this so much, that you have to have this long-term belief on your health. You have to have this identity of, I want to be the best version of myself, or I want to become the person that I was before. I want the status, I want the elite level of respect. I
Hmm.
want to, honestly, for a lot of the women listening to this, you want to be seen at the same level as the men in the positions that you're at,
Yeah.
right? It's just true. Companies will value some men more than women, even if you have more experience, even if you have more authority, even if you've been there longer,
Hmm.
whatever it may be. They may see the man who has testosterone, who has energy, who doesn't have brain fog, who doesn't isn't going through menopause, who doesn't have these other responsibilities, and they may take the single guy who's 50 years old as opposed to you with kids, which sucks. Trust me, I've seen it happen. But the truth is that means that you can either take two aspects to this, right?
Hmm.
This is gonna be a little bit harsh. You can either sit there and say, it's whatever, it's the universe, I can't do anything, I can't control it. Or you can take option number two, I'm going to take responsibility for this. I'm going to put myself in the best position possible so that I can beat out those people, so that I can lead, even though I have these other responsibilities. You can either let your situation overpower you, or you can let your situation empower you to becoming
Hmm.
the person that you want to be, and to allow you to get to where you want to go, whether it be a promotion, whether it be early retirement, whether it be anything in life. You can either let that situation take over you, or you can let it develop you into who you need to become.
I mean, that's might be one of the most inspiring um, realizations that someone can come to, right? If it's
Yeah.
woe is me, and you know, you know, reason one, two, three, four, and five for why
Hmm.
I'm not stepping into my full potential, well then that's not fun, right? Like that's not no
Yeah.
real way to live. Like you're a kick-ass woman who's proven herself time and time again. And I think, yeah, like instilling these mindsets, greases all the workouts and the diets. They're all downstream. And on that point, let's talk about what's the most upstream along with identity, with which this, I mean, you started speaking
Yeah.
on from the beginning is kind of the physiology, right? The hormones, the metabolism, right?
Yeah.
These are kind of roots of how to kind of make progress more seamless. So let's dive into that, Ethan.
Yeah, of course. I want to end one little point off on that aspect that we were talking about, just to end
Mm,
off kind of mindset and belief and
yeah.
everything like that. And I think it's like you're saying, like the woe is me. There's a lot of people who accept their reality in their situation, and I think it's interesting, right? How people act, because the most successful people will settle in their health. They will settle in that area when they are fully capable, probably more than anyone, to be exceptional in their health, right? What I mean by that is there are people, right, who have way less respect, authority, way less developed in their career, and they're in great shape. And there's people above you who are also in great shape. But the biggest thing is those people just chose not to settle. And you're choosing to settle for where you are. And if you're choosing to settle, you can't do anything and you shouldn't complain about it. Like,
Mm,
if you want to be great, you need to understand that you are uncomfortable and you need to either make a change because of your current situation of uncomfortability or make a change because of the fear of the future. Something that we haven't touched on is a lot of the women that I work with, they're caregivers for their parents. And so you guys are seeing constantly, day in, day out, the really consequences of not prioritizing your health, not putting yourself first. And so you see it day in, day out, the struggles that your parents feel, whether it be your parents or your partner's parents, you see the struggles they're facing day in, day out, and you have a conscious decision every single day that you take care of them, of either saying, I'm going to settle and I'm going to end up where they are, and my kids are going to have to take care of me, or I can choose to take care of myself so that my kids, when they're trying to excel in their careers, they don't have to put added stress on themselves. They can be fine. They can take care of their own family, not me anymore. So you guys are always left with that decision. You guys don't think about these things, but these things happen every single day. And every single day, you guys are left with the decision in different ways. Do I prioritize my health or do I let myself settle?
that's really powerful because I mean, you said it. It's often
Yeah.
overlooked, and that trajectory is oftentimes, right, the result of neglect, right? Neglecting your
Yeah.
health, like, and it's really powerful. And I know you stand on this strongly of, really holding up a mirror to the women you work with. I think it's one of your strongest qualities, and
Yeah.
not just empowering them with the data, right? Like, because physical pain and hormonal dysregulation is not fun. Like, it's not a
Hmm.
good state to be operating in. But the
Yeah.
way that you're able to not just give these women clarity, but also, I mean, and on top of, you give them the clarity of where they're heading and what needs to change in order to create this utopia down the line. So
Yeah. I
really
think,
good.
like you're saying, the big thing too is that it's showing them the pathway of what things will look like if nothing changes, but also they need to understand that I can tell them these things, but that doesn't change anything still. It's still about taking the action around them, because they're already aware this is happening. Sure, maybe I'm speaking it out loud and they're like, oh, that's a realization. But are they actually going to do anything about it? Are they going to listen to what I'm saying and actually start to change stuff? Or are they going to be like, oh, that was really nice,
Mm.
but I'm going to go back to where I was?
What do you see? What qualities of the women that do take the step? What do you notice
Mm,
about these women's? And let's leave all the incredible results, the huge amount of testimonials
yeah.
aside for the moment. But what is special, or not really that special, about the women who do decide to make a change?
Great point. And I think the biggest thing that I find with people who do take the change is, here's the first piece. a lot of them regret they didn't do it sooner. Now, they're very grateful they did it.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Mm-hmm.
ready to make a change now, but
Mm-hmm.
they're always in regret because they could have done it years ago. And so
Wow.
that's the first quality. They're very understanding of their situation. They know I need to make a change. I should have done it sooner. I need to do it now, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're in that frame of mind of I've already made mistakes. I've pushed it off. Now's me time, right? And so if you're listening to this now and you're saying, hey, I've been pushing off my health, you're already in their position. Now's the time to take action, right? If you're in a position, you're watching this, you're in perfect health and you're not prioritizing your health, well, now's the time to, again, take action and maintain what you already have. Because that's how people get into these situations.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just stumble into bad health. It's cumulative years of not prioritizing your health. And so the people that I find who are the most successful are the ones who take very high responsibility for themselves and understand, hey, I've made mistakes. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't figure out my hormones. I've tried everything that I know. Nothing works. I need help. Those are the people who overall have, number one, the best results because they're willing to listen and learn and take action. And number two, they overall have the best likelihood of really maintaining those results because they came in with that responsibility and that humility. And they overall know that if they fix this and they shift their belief around it, they're already on the right path because they're ready to take action, that they will actually maintain it because they will become the person that they need to become to really be successful long term.
Strong.
Yeah.
Where do you see us pivoting from this point? Because I know that you wanted
Of
to.
course.
You touched
I
on.
think
You go ahead.
I think the last piece we'll really touch on is kind of the lab side of everything.
Yes.
So when it comes down to lab work and hormones for the women that I work with, right? Everything can be done, right? I always say this to the clients that I work with. We can order labs, right? I can get whatever you need. You can get it done through your doctor, right? As long as I can order the stuff that I want, I don't care, right? The biggest piece behind lab work is it is a way for us to understand where you are at, okay? Hormones, your lab work, your metabolism, all these things, we can understand where you're at. We can understand what needs to be fixed. And once we understand those things, the pathway to really solving it is much clearer. Okay. Now, we don't need to use lab work on everybody. We don't need to do supplementation for everybody, right? If nothing's wrong. But if you're listening to this and you overall have issues when it comes down to, waking up in the middle of the night, you overall crave salty or sweet foods, you have midsection weight, you gain most of your weight in your lower half of your body, like all these different things, right? That we even talked throughout this podcast. It's like if you have those issues, there's something wrong and your body is sending signals to you through those symptoms, right? Now, here's a big caveat. A lot of the time, these women will go to their OBGYN or their doctor or a functional medicine doctor. They'll go through all these pathways and they'll either get a couple of different responses. So it can either be you get labs done, they don't pull the right labs, they pull the basic stuff. They say you're healthy and you're fine, right? So that's your typical doctor. They treat for disease, they don't treat to actually solve these symptoms or do anything. You feel neglected, you feel dismissed. Second, when you go to your OBGYN, you go in there, you get some labs done. Maybe they can pull like estrogen, maybe they can pull progesterone, but you're in the normal reference range. And so you're normal, right? Again, you get dismissed. You go to a functional medicine doctor, maybe they show you some deeper panels. Maybe they go into thyroid that like your doctor would have to, test TSH. Oh, TSH is fine. You're not getting the rest of the test done. Or you go to an endocrinologist and you get the test done and then they're like, oh, you're normal again, right? So again, you're going through all these hoops to then be told everything's normal, right? So nothing's actually getting fixed, right? Again, with functional medicine, maybe you get the stuff done, you get a packet, you get some supplements, you take the supplements, feel a little bit better, but then you're on supplements for life and you don't really want to do that and the problem comes back, right? So what I find with women when it comes down to lab work and hormones is we need to actually find the issue in the lab work or through symptoms. We can do it either way. Find the problem, supplement for the problem, change the lifestyle, change the identity, change the viewpoint around it so we can change the habits that cause the problem in the first place, right? So it's not just okay, my exercise and my food and my habits are over here and my hormones over here. It's like, no, they're all together, right? They all work together synergistically. So we have to have a system that, you know, solves this piece, solves this piece, solves this piece, solves this piece, right? We have to go through all the different avenues, solve it together, not just one-off things.
And why do you feel that so many of the women in these positions are having these underlying problems? Is it stress, right? The cortisol as a factor in
Yeah,
the equation?
great question. I think the biggest thing is that with the women in the careers that I work with, where they've been doing it for a long time, right? Some of them 20, 25 years in the same, you know, department. They've leveled up in their career, responsibilities have gotten higher. Kids are in college or kids are younger, right? So you got responsibility for your family. And I think the biggest thing that I find is it's accumulation of putting yourself last while responsibilities keep growing. So the biggest analogy that I've always used is you're putting yourself at the bottom of the totem pole. So you have your kids, you have your partner, you have your friends, you have your family, you have your work, you have your coworkers, you have your job stress, you have XYZ, your house, and then you at the bottom, right? Like whatever you want to sum it up into, you guys are never first. You guys never put your health first. And so this accumulation of your job stress, just constantly leveling up 60, 70 hours a week, traveling all the time, deadlines coming up, reports coming in, right? All these things that always happen, you're never focusing on you. And that's where we find your hormones get worse and worse and worse. And so for a lot of the women, cortisol is a really big one, right? And this will sound very crazy to some of the people listening, but a lot of you assume, oh, my cortisol is probably really high, right? The problem, though, is your cortisol is probably actually very low. And a lot of the women will supplement to fix high cortisol and actually make it worse. So this is why, again, information is not everything out there, and it has to be very specific to the person, because women will think, internet told me I have high cortisol, I work a high stress job, I'm going to take ashwagandha, or I'm going to take whatever, right? Lower my cortisol more. And you get lab work done and your cortisol is already low and you're making it worse and your symptoms are getting worse and you're like, oh, the supplement isn't working, whatever, I'll stop taking it. And then things start getting worse. And like, you're just compounding this effect of problems because you don't have the answer to them and you don't have the right help. You just keep making the same mistake because you don't have direction ultimately.
I want to, yeah, I keep adding, right? I want you to keep riffing on
Yeah,
your.
of course.
Why
Yeah.
do you think so many driven women are like frustrated that their body isn't responding anymore?
Yeah. I think the biggest reason why women are frustrated around this is it comes back to they've been there before. For a lot of women that I work with, they've been the very confident person. They've already, you know, become very successful in every area of life and probably even been very successful in the best shape of their life potentially too. And so it's this identity misalignment that we covered where they're successful in every area, but their health is so far gone that they're just like, all right, well, I'm going to try everything. And they try everything, and it's just constant burnout of trying things, not seeing results, trying again. And eventually, this is where it gets scary, is that people give up. They fully settle. And that's where we see the scenarios where it's like, oh, I got to take care of my mom and dad because they both have diabetes. Oh, they both are on 10 different medications, blah, 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 blah. Right. And it's because their parents never got help. And so now they assume, okay, well, I guess I can't get help. When I get to 60, I'm just going to be on medication. I'm just going to have diabetes. That's how my parents are. Right. But it doesn't have to be that way.
Hmm.
You can change it. You can do things, but it comes down to taking action and taking the right action. Because it's not a discipline game. It's not an effort game. They're very disciplined. They're very, goal oriented. The problem is, though, they're putting their effort and discipline into the wrong areas. Like we talked about, it comes back to that 3-step process: reset, reshape, retain. It's
You're
not
talking.
reshape, retain,
Yeah.
right? It's about fixing things first, because these women are not fixing their root problem. And so ultimately, at the end of the day, they're staying in the same cycle they've been in. That's why they're frustrated.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. And to layer on further the integration, not just of understanding the root causes, but associating it with the lifestyle that is required to kind of correct it and not be on the supplements forever. So the
Yeah.
solution really is holistic, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's
And I
it's
think
impressive.
I think the final piece to kind of wrap everything up is that for a lot of the women listening to this, you've probably been on this journey for a very long time, right? This is not your first go around when it comes down to your health. This is not the first time you've ever tried to get help or different things like that. But the most important thing to realize is that, again, just because you've tried and failed does not mean you shouldn't try again. There's so many analogies you can give, whether it come down to riding a bike for the first time. You probably fell down, you probably started crying, you probably got upset, just as every kid does. But eventually, you got back on the bike and you started riding again. And eventually, you learned how to ride the bike. Your health is the same way. You may feel frustrated, you may feel burned out, you may feel beaten down, but that doesn't mean that you can't solve your health. It doesn't mean that you're broken, because there's, again, so many other women out there who have, everyone's unique, don't get me wrong, but you're not as unique maybe as you think you might be, because I've worked with everything and so many different problems, right? And so you're unique, but you're not broken. You're not special, right? In the way that you can't see success. And so it comes down to, I need to try again, but I need to try again with the right help, not in a way that doesn't really serve me. I need to do things in the right order. I need to
Yeah.
follow the right plan. I need to have the right guidance. And I need to have the pathway to really not just fix the nutrition, not just fix the workouts, because those are easy. Fix
Hmm.
the actual really relationship I have with my health, my prioritization, my identity, who I want to be, so I can actually really keep this going for the rest of my life. It's what most people are missing, and most people never really hear, because from what I've seen, a lot of the women that I work with, your husband says you're amazing. Your husband says you're beautiful. Your kids, they say you're awesome. Your coworkers say you look great, right? Nobody's ever going to tell you how you look or how you feel. The only person who's going to say that is you. And so you ultimately get to decide when enough is enough. And so you can either listen to everyone else around you who says that everything's perfect and that you're fine, or you can start to listen to yourself and realize, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not happy. I'm not healthy. And actually start to do something about it, and actually start to make those changes, right? And actually start to take that first step, you could call it, into your health, into your life.
Exceptionally well
Yeah.
said.
Amazing. So, guys, if you are, a high achieving woman and you felt stuck, the answer is not to push harder. It's really to fix the system so your effort starts working again. That's really what we overall preach and promise here. We want to follow the process that we mentioned: reset, reshape, retain. We want to reset, again, reset all the systems in your body, fix any root cause issues with your hormones, with your metabolism. We want to reshape your body so that fat loss, muscle building becomes predictable again. We're building on our strong foundation, and we want to retain it by setting you up for the future so you can keep it off for the rest of your life. Now, if you want to learn how this method works in more depth and detail than we've explained today, if you want the guide, the Executive Body Reset Guide, go to my Instagram bio on Instagram. It's Gonzales Coaching, excuse me. You can also search up Ethan Gonzalez, it'll pop up. But if you search up Gonzalez Coaching on Instagram and DM me the keyword reset, I'll send it straight over to you as well. Hope you guys had a great episode listening in today, and we'll talk to you guys soon.